So guys, getting your first client as a barber, it may seem hard, but honestly, it's all about just putting yourself out there. You don't need a big name, a fancy shop, or years of experience. This video is gonna show you exactly how to cut your first person when you're starting out your journey. So if you're struggling to get that first client, here's exactly how to do it. Start close to home. If you have a kid, cut your son. If you have cousins, cut your cousin. If you have classmates, start with cutting up your classmates. Don't charge at all. Give them free haircuts and offer value. A lot of times people start out, they start barbering just to make money. If you're not willing to cut for free, you shouldn't be a barber. Because the reality is when you're starting out, your cuts aren't gonna be all the way there. You can watch hundreds of videos, you can be in a bunch of academies, but reality is watching someone cut hair and doing it yourself are two completely different things. With businesses, when someone starts a business, a lot of times they just ask. Whereas in reality, the mindset should be shifted to giving. When you give, you're now offering value. You're now showing people why they should rock with you, why they should support your business. When you're just coming out the gate charging someone, you have no years of experience. You have no experience at all. You're not worth that price that you're charging, even if it's $5. What you can also do is leverage social media. Now, obviously, if you're just starting out, your social media probably isn't that big, but more than likely, if you do have a personal page, what I would do is I would convert that personal page into a business page. That's personally what I did starting out. I had a personal Instagram, young kid, I was like 16. I just converted it into a business page. And then I leveraged the people that followed that page and turned some of them into clients. If nobody knows that you're cutting hair, no one's gonna even wanna test you out. People need to see that you're cutting hair. So I would start posting, especially on the stories. Always have your tools and always be ready to cut. I remember, I would be at cookouts, family events, friend events, and people would tell me to bring my clippers, and at the time I did whatever I had to do because I wanted to get my name out there and I wanted people to see that I'm good at cutting hair. Opportunities present themselves randomly. There were countless times where, I was just hanging with my friends and one of them just said, just cut me up right now. When you're prepared, you don't have to get ready. You're ready already. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Get in Facebook groups, post on social media, tell your friends, tell your family, even go to homeless shelters if you have to. You need to cut as much as you can. The more reps you get in cutting hair, the better you're gonna get. When I first started, I didn't even know how to hold a clipper. My first haircut, I believe I buzzed my cousin's head into like a mohawk shape, so I just shaved the sides pretty much. I believe my aunt ended up having to finish it, but it was my first time. I had to get the rep in. That was an opportunity. So never be afraid to put yourself out there. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. And it's not even embarrassing. If you have a business, you want people to know that this is your business, especially if you want to take it serious. Because me personally, if someone isn't talking about their business, I'm gonna assume either one, they're extremely well off and they don't need no more business, which is fine. Or two, they're not confident in their business. Confidence brings clients. If you don't believe in yourself, others won't either. So reach out to people if needed. Pay people. I remember in the beginning, I had some classmates that I really wanted to cut their hair. Maybe they had a specific hair texture that I wasn't that familiar with. I would offer to pay them. I remember I paid one kid $5 one time to cut his hair because I was that desperate to learn. So sometimes a free cut isn't enough. Sometimes you do have to offer to pay. And lastly, I want you guys to remember this. If someone doesn't trust you at first, show them what you've been learning. Show them our academy, show them the YouTube videos you've been watching, show them the notes you've been taking, show them the tools you picked up, because then they'll see okay, this kid's serious, or this guy's serious, or this girl's serious at becoming a barber. She really wants to do this. I remember when I first started, I told everyone I was gonna be a barber, but people were just like, yeah, cool, that's what's up. I was 11 years old. But then when people started seeing, okay, this kid has a setup. My mom would show pictures of my setup. People were like, okay, this kid's actually legit. Don't be afraid to brag about what you've been learning and what you're learning yourself and what you're teaching yourself. A lot of times people will respect that. So now that you have all the ideas on how to get your first clients, go out there and get them.